Never forget 9/11 as Bitcoin drops today. Guys, question everything, trust nothing. It's Debate Crypto. Guys, welcome everybody. Smash those likes. Let's get ready for a big old party today. I mean, at least we had some movement in price. It's been so boring that the most exciting thing that Bitcoin could do is maybe drop like $200 or $400, whatever it was. I mean, that's how it is when we're at the bare bottom of this bear market. But guys, we've got Elvin Aldo and we got CVO in the house today, bring you guys a great, amazing TA as always. If you're not following these creators, go down to the description down below. Hit that link and go follow both of these guys. They're on here bringing you amazing work every single day. So, guys, what's going on? Right, Bitcoin has been at this value area low kind of area of about 25,000 or whatever it is, and it's just been going nowhere but sideways. We fell out of a massive yearly regression trend, right? Can we recuperate this regression trend? Is this the beginning of the end before the major collapse is going to happen here for Bitcoin and we hit a new all-time low and everything goes down to zero, right? Like Crypto Face said, we're never going to hit a new all-time high. So we're going to be covering all of that today, guys. So if you guys are excited, make sure
is that what Face said?
Yes, Face did.
I think that was taken out of context a little bit.
we had him on the show the other day and he said that he believes that it could be a possibility that Bitcoin never hits a new all-time high.
He's usually half asleep,
Yeah,
so
he gave a time reference. He also gave a time reference of like maybe for the next 2 years, and then kind of cut it out at that. So
okay,
gotta take it with a grain of salt, right? But yeah, man. Overall, let's take a quick look here at the market caps of these crypto coins. What are they doing? What's going on? Let's see. Before we do that, let's see who's
bare bottom girls.
Let's see who's first in the chat. Patriot Caveman, what is going on? Green Day Profits, FU, Sophisticated Dirty Bag Fly Fishing. Whoa, that was a mouthful. Near Crypto, off Near Crypto. I don't know how else to say that. What's going on, guys? I appreciate all you guys being here. But yeah, let's take a quick look at the markets. Then we'll take a quick little look here at Bitcoin, and then we're off to the races with TA experts. So here we are, Bitcoin. Barely hanging on, I mean, well, not Bitcoin, just crypto market in general, barely hanging on to that 1 trillion market cap, down 2.4%. That's the most we've had in a while. Bitcoin at 25,100 right now. Well, is this it? This could be it. I don't know. 24 hours, we're down 2%, 3%. What is this? The stock market? We're getting excited about 2 to 3%. Nothing else is happening here in the top 10. This is craziness. I mean, I can't wait for the bull market when everything is just ripping and riding and nobody even looks at 2%. 2% is a boring day. Now it's exciting. But let me show you here on my chart what I've been telling the people in the channel, what I've been seeing, right? It's nothing crazy. It's nothing wild, but it's all I got, right? So as we can see here, share my screen and beam, bam, boom, right? Here it is, right? We fell out of this massive regression trend here for the yearly. We fell out. We retested it. We came back down. People would say this is a confirmation breakout, right? With the retest breakdown. So we're going to break down any second now. But we're being holded up by this Q3 piv, which we haven't even hit yet. We hit it one time back here on the massive initial dump. But since then, we haven't retested it. And we've been living here at this area where this is actually part of the area low for the yearly range, which I don't have pulled up right now, but we're just below it right now. Can we or will we see this Q2 piv hit? Will it hold? Will it break? What do you guys think? So let's start off with Evan. What's going on, man? How are you seeing Bitcoin right now? What's happening?
So I think Bitcoin is not to be the bearer of bad news, but I think Bitcoin does look pretty weak right now. I do think we will inevitably lose this area that we're at right now, eventually come down to 23, and most likely come down to the low 20s. And let me show you what I'm looking at on the charts right now. So what I want to just start by showing you, this is kind of my less marked up chart with all my predictions. Monthly and regular candles, market cipher A, blood diamond. The last one we had was during the pandemic, Black Swan event, brought you down a lot. My guess is it would play out more kind of like this area, similar to October 2019, down a bit, but nothing too crazy, maybe down to the low 20s, most likely. I'm kind of in the ballpark that you might not lose 20K. And if you do, I don't think you're going to, I think you're going to make a higher low, very similarly to what we did here. See in this bear market, higher low right there. And then also in 2015, you made a higher low. So what I think is most likely is somewhat of a retest of this here. And I've had this prediction. This is my, take it with a grain of salt. I don't know if it's going to exactly look like this, but this is what I've been kind of looking at for the longest time here, what I've drawn out for months here. 31K for 2023 top, down back to around the 300 weekly moving average at the low 20s. Right now, this is right at around 21K, just under 21K. By the time we hit it, it probably would be at 21K, which I think is a huge level, which would make a lot of sense for a drop down. Also, we want to look at these gapped RSIs on the weekly here. These potentially, coming down and together into October, November is a really important place to look. November especially, and the reason why is because it's exactly a year after this low. You see this low November of 22, and why is that relevant? It's relevant because look right here, December of 2018, and exactly a year later, if you don't count the pandemic, that's December of 2019 where you kind of bottomed out. Excellent place to obviously get in. Just don't count the pandemic, obviously. Don't count the Black Swan event. Now, getting in more to the short term here, what we're looking at right now is, well, let me just show you the 2-day. 2-day, we got a yellow X. Last time, it's definitely a bearish sign if you're familiar with market cipher A. Looking right here, look at this. It's a pretty big drop down with the yellow X. 20% drop down. If we do drop down 20% from here, where does that bring us? Wow, right exactly to that 300 weekly moving average. So that's the macro right now. Pretty bearish on the macro. Short term, there's a huge area. See the spiral line? 24.8 is just a huge area. And let's zoom out a little bit. Why is it a huge area? Right here, June, that was the June low at about 24.8, 24.7. So essentially the spiral line is going to be huge if we do test it. Right now, if you wanted to look at potentially, where we could end up, we're breaking out of kind of this weird type of head and shoulders thing. If you do, a price target from the neckline here, I mean, it's a little bit subjective. I'm going to do a more conservative price target. That would bring you down to around 24.2. But the thing is, there's not much at 24.2. There's a little bit at 24.2, but really your next spiral line after this is at 23.6. And then the even bigger one, logarithmic spiral lines are a little more powerful. 23.3 is huge. So really short term, what I'm kind of thinking here is we'll come down a bit more in the short term and potentially get a nice bounce off of this 24.8 and maybe come back. This was our big support area at 25.3. The fact that we lost it is very bearish. Maybe come back to retest this and then finally break down farther. That's my 2 cents right now. That's what I think most likely will happen.
Nice, dude. Perfectly said. CVO. What are you seeing? Are you seeing something similar? Are you seeing something different?
Yeah, look, somewhat similar. Timing could be a little different, but we'll obviously yet to be seen on that. But in the same boat, in the same levels as far as that would go. I do expect a little bit more of a potential upside short term here. But so I'm looking at two things. So generally we look at the Bybit chart at our group, right? So, and one thing to kind of point out is that this, when you're looking here, you have a little bit of a lower wick, which came into play in Bybit on the perpetual contracts, so on the futures. Did go down to like 23.4, but regardless, this is just where I have everything kind of set up on. So I kind of flip back and forth between the Binance chart and such. So on the Binance chart, it's got a really clean look, just similar to what Evan was looking at. I think it was on the Coinbase one. And one thing I was pointing out heavily is that you got up until today, we had all these lows, right, coming in right here, which generally, just sets up a pretty good recipe to come down and take them. And then you get, a nice liquidity run, which is, I guess, the buzzword of the week. But you could get that little liquidity hit, right, and then you get the move to the upside. And I do feel that we could go a little bit lower as well. That 24,800 is a spot that I'm looking at too. It is that quarterly pivot around there that you alluded to in the beginning. It is the quarter two low, aka June. But either way, what we did do here is that we've come down, and you've taken out the lows now, right? So kind of zooming into the 15-minute. I got it highlighted right here. So you've come down, taken the lows, effectively stopped out anybody that was in a long position all the way back to really even further than this, but let's just say August 17th. One thing I always like to point out is that when people are entering long positions or short positions, generally they're not getting in right at these exact wicks, right? Most people are going to miss those. They're going to get in on these consolidation sideways moves, potentially even when we start even moving up, right? But all the exciting moves, everybody jumps in. Maybe there's a stop loss below or a liquidation point. Either way, we just came down and we sniped those. I'm getting a warning on my side. I don't know if you guys are losing me.
No, you're good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, there was like saying disruption. But yeah, we're kind of bouncing around this little low area here. So that 25.2, potentially could be an area we really want to, hold on to. I'm looking more so for a reclaim of the previous week low. Yeah, I think I'm losing connection here somewhere.
We hear you.
Yeah, we hear you perfectly fine.
Yeah, it's your trading view, I think. Huh. Oh, now he's
gone.
Bummer.
Yeah. So I have talked to him off screen. I'll wait for him to jump back in about that that weak area low, previous week area low, and maybe taking along. I believe there's a gold pocket somewhere around there that he was telling me about. And honestly, I don't know how I feel about going long right now. I want him to give a better explanation, and maybe you as well while we're waiting for him. Right? I feel like the trend is your friend until the end, and things have just been so bearish. The sentiment has been sold down, and I understand that as well too, right? That the more everybody gets bearish, the more likelihood at some point we're going to have a turnaround, right? Because everybody can't be right. If everyone thinks we're going to go lower, we're probably going to do the opposite at some point. But man, I just don't know, right? I know you guys are technical analysts, like you don't focus on the news or anything, but I feel like nothing technical, even though I'm not a technical analyst. I just feel like there's nothing powerful enough right now to really give us a big push. I've said this before on the channel that I think the only thing that can push us to 30K or above would be the ETF approval at this point that would really flip the switch for like emotional sentiment in the market and people feel very excited about it. But without that, I feel like there's going to be no excitement, no real price volume coming in. So, CVO, are you there?
I'm back, boys.
That's right, baby. Let's go.
Sorry.
No censorship on this channel, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, right. What do you usually say?
So I was just saying, because you kind of cut out when you were talking about the previous week low and reclaiming and going long. I was saying that, man, I just feel so bearish, and I understand that even though everybody feels bearish, at some point these are going to turn around. I don't know what could take us on a long trip to 30K or above right now. I feel like the only thing that could take us long would be a Bitcoin ETF approval or something of that nature to come out of nowhere in the news and really like flip the switch on sentiment. So like I just keep looking for shorts, but you were talking about that long, so I want you to elaborate on on it.
I was talking, I'm not too into the news, as you know, but I was on with Forrest earlier today, and he made a really good point about, I guess the potential something next month going on with like all the ETFs, I guess. So, and one of two things happen with news, right? Either a news event kind of comes out at the same time when you get a breakout or breakdown, or you just get, you're in the realm of news, which we're in right now, right? There's so much like stuff up in the air. There's FTX, this week with things. There's ETFs all over the place, and the number one real driver of the market is going to be the price action, right? Like the sentiment is driven by the PA, and then the news comes in to kind of like, either change, get everybody really emotional potentially. But you can have like just price action alone, and then people will speculate on the existing news. So, for example, if let's just say you get this. On a technical base, we just took out all these lows, right? Say we come a little lower, you start getting the, piles in, people coming into the market, you got to move up. Excitement starts coming in, and you can start to speculate, oh, maybe this is, people front running the ETF news for next month or something like that. And I'm just throwing something out. That's just what Forrest kind of talked on earlier, and I thought it made a little bit of sense. But either way, I mean, just very similar to over here, right, where we were coming up into 31K, and we had a very simple, pullback at the time where it was coming into that. At the time, we had the untapped quarterly pivot, which was our high time frame average price, mean reversion, a couple other things in that region, but that was a very simple pullback. And then what did you have? You had I don't even remember. SEC was starting to sue people or saying that they were going to sue some of the altcoins or make them regular. I don't know. There's some SEC stuff going around there. Come right into the target, and then you get a BlackRock ETF, something, or the other up here, and you get all these, just ebbs and flows basically. So, it's really funny to look at the price action too. And if you really go back to that Binance chart or like a Coinbase, we're seeing almost the same type of situation like we saw up at the top here, right? You had all this pretty good excitement, some pretty good news, and you had that one last little push up. Essentially, if anybody was entering shorts right here, once again, they're not entering right at the highs. Most people are going to enter like right here in the middles, potentially even somewhere down here with a stop loss above the previous high. You get one shoot up, take out everybody, stop out everybody before the actual move comes down. And we have a potential for that same situation here. So will we go back to 30K? Not necessarily a guarantee by any means. Maybe we don't even push up past this recent peak, but I think that you got to be looking for a long at this point in comparison to a short. Whether or not that plays out, that's just the risk management, at least that I hold myself to. So I am looking for that little dip into like 24.8, similar to what Evan was just saying. And then I'd be looking to kind of reclaim some ground here. And then, just looking at a very simple idea. Couple levels up here at this region. There's a couple other things here as well, but just keeping it super simple. Untapped monthly level, the July naked point of control, and then just on a market structure basis, you have all the stop losses for this region right here, right? So anybody that wasn't able to get in on a short right here, guarantee you everybody started to try to pile in for a short here. Stop losses are just above. Or if you did enter here, what'd you do? You moved your stop loss to the next, notable high. This would take out, it's one of those situations where I think we're going to wash both sides. So
you're thinking that the long that you're thinking about taking is to ride it all the way up to 30 to wash out all the people that have their liquidation stops up there. Once again, like, because we have a little bit of a Bart Simpsons here.
I'm not saying I'm jumping in along and only going to close out at like 30K.
No. I'm just saying
the idea here is that the price action alone, I think we could see, back up into this region. I wouldn't overlook a couple areas in between here, of course. And, 29, I think we got 29.3, when looking at quarterly levels and things of that nature, even the developing, right? We got our point of control all the way back at like 29.1. So, I mean, there's some regions here. And once again, you got to kind of you got to pay attention right now, because it is really on that cusp of we could very well just nuke below, back test, and then just dump. But otherwise, if we start to come up and claim some of these regions, and for me, the previous week low is just going to be an easy one, right? If we jump up another $400 and start living back above that, that's probably going to insinuate that we're at least going to run last week's range, right? Which is going to take you at least back up to like 26.5, and then potentially you go from there, and then you stack your areas on top of that. But I could see this kind of going down. And then someone pointed out really, in the chat, the head and shoulders, which I generally don't get on too much anymore, but this one is just stupid clean, and some of the targets are pretty legit. And that's
also the yearly regression trend too. It's that exact, all that price action.
Is it? Yeah. And I don't know. That, maybe we don't hit 19 exact, but that 19, that 20, the 21, if you pull that, from the overall low to the overall high, you got this gold pocket comes in right here that's been untapped, around that 21. Like I said, you got the CME gap. My question is, I guess, or my theory at the moment is, do we push back up first, right? Come up to that 30K region potentially, kiss this little trend line, which, once in a while these do play out. But I have other reasons, obviously, for looking at that section. And then if we get that plunge down, which is pretty much, I think, what Evan just kind of alluded to as well. So very similar. I think that we've been in this really sideways, action. You said it yourself that you're very bearish, or it's hard to, not.
It's hard to be bullish right now.
Right. And then, it's could we definitely dump out of here? Absolutely. But at the same time, you know, we're at some pretty impressive areas here where we could put on some short-term risk, or just I'm looking for a short from higher. So we'll see how it goes.
There you guys have it. It's just one of those things, right, where it's bearish, but there might be some slight hope of some bullish action, but it's not going to be long-lived, right? Even if we do go back to that 30K area, what would have to be something? So let's flip the script on that, right? We're extremely bearish right now. At least I am. What would be something you would have to see once you do that retest to say, oh, we're moving? This thing's got legs. This thing's going to keep running. We're not coming back down to the 25K level. Evan, do you have anything like that on your chart?
I think it would be pretty unlikely for that to happen. You mean you're asking like if we could pump up above 31K? Is that
Yeah, if we go back to that 30K area, right? And then what would you have to see up there to believe that that is sustainable and keep going? Because the average person is going to see that move and say, "We're back, baby. It's bull time," right? And they're going to start accumulating or doing whatever it is because they're going to get excited. But you know, what would you have to see to really believe that that is sustainable?
Yeah, if you look at my chart, if we could see this VWAP come up on this weekly here and give us like a green dot in the weekly, that's where things could turn around a bit. And you could see like an earlier version, maybe back up to 40K here. I think the odds of that are probably like, probably around 20%, if not under, you know, probably 10 to 20%. The other thing too, I don't have it in my chart at the moment, but I believe there is a death cross. There's a death cross that's about to confirm on Bitcoin. I could show you kind of what it's similar to what happened in 2019 here. I believe it was around October of 2019, and this could be pretty interesting. So you peaked out in 2019 around June, and then see you were coming down. It looked like you were coming down, and then this is what CVO was talking about, and I think he's got it. This is a good shot here because everybody's probably capitulating. Then you get one last jump up, and I mean this was a freaking this was a 32% jump up, and then never mind, just dumped another 38% from there. You know what I mean? This was a complete roller coaster all the way into the pandemic last time. So that was actually a death cross that happened around here too. A lot of times when we get a death cross, I don't have it drawn out. I forget which movie averages it is, but a lot of times when you get a death cross, you have a jump up and then you come right back down. And that's what we're about to get, a death cross. I believe it confirms tomorrow for the death cross. And that's what CVO is saying is not impossible here. You jump up to, I forget the probably 28, 29 or something. And then you just, not impossible when you look at the volatility. I mean, this volatility, just to show you guys again, this volatility was pretty crazy in 2019. I mean, this was down 40% and then you came up, you know, 43, then you came down another 36. I mean, this was a roller coaster. So don't be surprised. Yeah. Don't be surprised if I'm especially looking for that scalp off at 20. So that scalp, if we were able to, let me just show you that real quick. If we're able to do that scalp here off of like, you know, I'm not too inclined to enter it yet. I think you'll make a lower low here, but this 24.9, 24.8 area, if we could come up with some of these money flows, especially like the 6 minute coming into the green on the 6 minute. And then if we could see more of a, more potentially a trigger wave on the, this money flow to come up, trigger wave on the 10 minute, that's where that scalp could work out really well. Maybe run it up to come down here, run it up to this point over here. So that's a pretty good risk reward ratio. If you were to enter over here, you know, I would do a kind of a lenient stop loss because the volatility has been crazy. 1-to-1 risk reward ratio, you could probably go a little bit tighter. 2-to-1 would be really good. Minimal risk, high reward. If you want to be more ballsy, you know, it depends how much you want to risk here. 3-to-1 risk reward ratio. If you're doing trades like this, you only need to win like 30% of your trades to be profitable. So I know a lot of people have a lot of success with this risk reward ratio. Something like this might work really well. But when I look at the macro and I look at all of the bearish things in this market, like when I'm going along, I want to be taking profits quickly, locking in profits quickly. I want to be conservative with the longs.
Perfect. CVO, you got anything to add to that about flipping bullish after we hit 30? Like, hey, if I see this.
So in a sense of like where we are right now today, right? And I'm going to be looking for a trade. It's going to be the simplest form. I mean, we start taking out and living back above this high, you know, and just, I think you pointed out the yearly range at this point as well. If you just look at that very simply, you know, we're coming in, we took a bounce off that low and, you know, that comes in right at the high here as well. But Yeah, I mean, that'd be the big, determining factor. So for me, if I'm going to try to get along here around that 24.8 or the 25.3 even, right? I might not even get the exact low, if that even is the low, right? So I'm going to look for some confirmation on the way back up. But you're talking about potentially, if we get to 30K, I'll probably close out that long, maybe leave a little to run. But I'm in the same boat as Evan. I just doubt that we're going to do that. I think that we're going to end up making that jaunt down towards at least 23, which I just can't imagine we probably wouldn't go down towards at least the gold pocket. There's just so much down below us, but I wouldn't be getting greedy around those regions. But I just don't think that that's just going to be it. And yeah, timing wise, just kind of says that depending on how things kind of go here, I've been in the camp that for this month, we'd end it green, right? Because everybody's been expecting a red September, yep. Which obviously we've started off not that great, but once again, it's all about that ending when everybody shows that screen that has like all the little, every year since inception, and it's got the 1% up or 10%, whatever. That all that matters is what you started and what you finished at. So if we started right here at 26 and we end at 28, it's a green month, So I am in the camp that we're probably going to, just kind of range around this region. And then, yeah, we'll just kind of gauge it out. So if I, take out, close out my long, so to speak, in this region, and, I miss the next 4% before I start, redirecting my bias, I guess at that point, then that's just what it is. So I'm looking to capture that potential 15, 20. I might miss out on 4 here, and then I'll just look for the confirmation above this high, but I just don't see it. I think that we'll come up, we'll just put in, essentially that lower high, and then we'll make our way down. And then, Ethereum's got a really, clean downtrend as well. It's a little bit cleaner than Bitcoin even. And that's kind of something I pay attention to as well. So, yeah.
Perfect, dude. Yeah, I completely agree with that. Right? I mean, I'm barely in the camp that I believe we'll see 30K anytime soon right now because of how things are. But I'm not a technical analysis, right? That's just my bias from how bearish things are. But that value area high, that range for the year, right? It's that 31,000, 32,000 area. If you do flip that, I guess like you were saying, that's something to definitely be looking at. But it's not the only thing to look at. So it's just one of these moments in time where people need to be really paying attention. And we've been talking about this throughout the bear market, right? Everyone that's paying attention right now is going to have a way bigger advantage than all the people that just, jump into the frenzy when we do see that massive, flip to the bullish side. And I still do believe we're going to see some lower levels. So, nothing here is showing that low levels are out of the table. So anyone that gets a little excited, be very cautious with what you guys are doing, whether you're dollar cost averaging or trading. Be very careful out there. But in the meantime, we're gonna hit Solana next. Solana's definitely been one that's on the news lately, especially with the FTX debacle happening. But before we do that, quick little intro here to one of the partners of the channel, BitUnix. Check out BitUnix. They've got about 5,500 USDT for signups. If anybody new, they got some really low slippage areas. I've been having some slippage problems in the exchanges that I've been using, and it's been throwing some of my trades off, which is very important. Something that I never really thought was a problem on centralized exchanges, but it is. It's something I only dealt with on the meme coin side. So yeah, check out BitUnix. They got some pretty good rewards for anybody signing up right now. Link is down below. Helps out the channel. Greatly appreciate it, guys. Come on. All right, cool. So Solana, right? FTX is getting the approval to liquidate about $3 billion or whatever it was that they have in assets. A huge portion of that is Solana. A significantly huge portion, and people are very concerned, right? They propped up the value of Solana very, very heavily. Now with that happening, especially as I believe they might get the approval by the 13th as well, which lines up with the FOMC meeting, right? So all these events are starting to line up. Doesn't mean that they're going to liquidate all of it that same day. Just saying that the approval is coming around that time. People are very concerned. What levels are you guys looking at for Solana for the downside if this does continue to happen and these liquidations take place? Let's start with you, Evan.
Yeah, so if you take a look at my Solana chart right here, I mean, if we look, the first thing we want to look at is obviously we're losing a major level right now at about 19.50 on $20. We're down to 17 right now. blood diamond on the 2-week, obviously a first time ever bearish sign, at least in the Coinbase chart here. And if we zoom in a little bit, I mean, this doesn't look too good. I mean, you're losing this general point. There's not much, you know, until around these wicks. See this high wick around 15, these low wicks around 14, 15, which that's going to be another huge area to look for. If this does play out how Bitcoin kind of plays out, I do think you could potentially make a higher low around 14 here. I think Solana could be more of a slow bleed down. It could kind of get boring a little bit, but for, you know, it depends what happens here. I mean, you look at these EMAs all turning gray right here. Last time that happened is, let's look at our trend, you know, draw a line here. Last time that happened, that would bring us right to where we're looking for, $14, $15. So I think that's a really huge place to start getting in. And I think the biggest DCA period for Solana, along with a lot of other altcoins, is going to be probably from October into the halvening. So basically October into March, that kind of 6-month period, I think is going to be huge. Solana, you know, at $15, I think is a pretty good buy. Solana at 18, not the worst place in the world, but I think there's definitely more you could look here. If we do lose this area, it's not impossible. You know, if we lose that area, you're probably going to retest the lows, potentially $10. I don't know exactly if you're going to go that low, because obviously if you zoom out here, this thing is already down. I'm just going to logarithmic scale real quick. A second. And then, you know, let's see where we went. You already went down 96%. So I don't think it's too likely to go down, you know, any farther than that. However, if you do factor it in, Cardano did go down 98% in the last bear market. So, you know, $5, it's not impossible. I know people get mad at that, but it's not impossible to make a lower low for some of these alts. And if you want to look at ones that already made lower lows, just take a look at ABEX right now. You know, already just blew out its 2021 lows right there. And, you know, there's not much to latch onto. This could go down to $5 too. So be careful with the alts right now.
I mean, dude, down 96%. What's another 4%, right? Let's just all the way down 100%, zero, right? I mean, Solana is going to be one of those that we'll see how it survives. A lot of people are very bullish on Solana in the next cycle.
I think in the long term, I mean, if you just got a strong stomach, if you could just hold it, you know what I mean, at these prices, like I'm waiting for 15. I want to wait from October to March to kind of DCA in. Like, I think that the worst thing to do here is just put a lump sum in Solana right now. Like, I think that's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
But DCAing in for months from now, that's fine. Perfect.
Yeah, definitely Solana is going to be one that I'll be looking at after this bear cycle is kind of over, and just kind of see where it's at from there. Yeah. Because it's just been having a very hard time, and with these FTX liquidations, right? You got to take advantage of it if you can, right? We know it's coming, and we know that the price is bad. You know, maybe people are looking for some shorts, people are looking for some quick liquidity. You know, that's definitely something to take advantage of. CVO, what are you thinking about Ethereum right now?
Ethereum or Solana?
Huh?
Ethereum or Solana?
Oh, well, yeah, let's hit Solana. Let's see what you got for Solana.
So it's funny you mentioned Cardano, and I don't know if others kind of do the same comparison, but for a long time, I've compared Solana to being like potentially this, you know, bear market's Cardano, which, you know, just got the worst criticism, the worst, you know, whether it was news, whatever, got beat down, sat at 3 cents, you know, several times over that whole entire time frame. And then was one of the few, you know, major blue chips, I guess, to 100x, right, from 3 cents to $3. Obviously, there's no way to know the future here of Solana. Solana's already had an incredible journey there. But one thing I've been looking at for Solana is, you know, come down, and you know, I was looking to re-enter this old range just above us. We, you know, ever so slightly did pierced up to that $32. Magic Internet Money had a really nice harmonic that ended right there. So shout out to him on that. Nailed it to literally the penny. But obviously we lost that region, back tested, and, you know, kind of coming on our way down here. My worst case, not worst case, because I agree with Evan that, you know, nothing's off the table, and $5 and potentially even this 281 is there. But for me, it's $8 to $10 is like my next fresh entry area for Solana. Now, short term, you know, when we're looking at the market and like, let's just pretend that we get a little bit of a bounce for the next 2 weeks or a couple weeks here or a month or whatever the case may be, whether that's to 25K or 27, 28, 30, whatever it may be. Maybe we don't get it, but if you do get a bounce, obviously the altcoins are going to bounce as well. And And his old range is still kind of, what I'm looking at as some potential resistance, right? So we could very well just kind of come back up all the way back to like $27, really nicely, do exactly what we're looking at on Bitcoin and potentially ETH, right? Come and take out some highs, retrace, to a really probable area here and effectively do nothing, right? Come in, lower high, hit resistance, hit a gold pocket, and then potentially make that way down. Obviously, that'd be in the camp of, Bitcoin pushes up and then really pushes down. But yeah, for me, I'm looking $8 to $10, quarter four lows, old quarterly level. And then when I'm looking at the range that we're currently in, because once again, just kind of breaking that down to where we are, we're back in the Q4 range of last year. We got the point of control comes down here about $14, kind of where Evan was looking at. And then if we rotate the whole range in full, comes all the way back down to the lows into that region. So, maybe we wick through here a little bit, whatever, but definitely 8 to 10 is my, my biggest alerts for Solana for a spot position, for months to, potentially bull run holding. Ethereum's
trying to make a little move to the downside right now as we speak.
Oh, here we go.
Predicted.
Yeah, so ETH, same situation as Bitcoin, right? So we're just kind of in that little drag right here. Unlike Bitcoin, we actually put in, a wick across the board, right? So the one on Bybit for Bitcoin came down a little lower than everything else, but for ETH, this was, valid. One area that I've been looking for is potentially to get that move back up towards, this $1,900 region. I'm not overlooking 1840, right? So, and all this is barring that we get a little bounce here at a Bitcoin as well. And a couple reasons for that. So we got a couple areas to look for. At this point, we're probably going to close out today. What is it, like almost 4 o'clock? So I'd be looking for like tomorrow, we'd start looking at previous day low and things of that nature and, looking to hold that previous day range. But these are some regions that, if we start to come back up and live above, you got the previous week low, you got your week open, right, in this little $50 window here. If you come back up and live above there, I would say that we've probably got a good chance of running it back up. This was your August range as well, right? So we kind of pierced out of it, a little deviation at the moment. So a really nice way to look at this is, depending on how it all goes, right, is once again looking for that reclaim here or possibly at the weekly open, depending on how it ends up and when you're around. And then if we rotate this whole range to the upside, looking at 1840 for an upside target. And then if we are going to see a similar situation, the Bitcoin pushing up to like maybe 29 into the 30 region, I'd be looking for ETH to come up into this window here. And this is just a simple overall high to that wick low, gold pocket matched with a high time frame average price that's untapped from August, matched with a weekly level here. And then just start stacking on range data. It's the July value area high as you come in. So the July range high, your June range high comes in here. You got the quarter two range high comes in here as well. And then if we pull the developing quarter, value area high, range high comes in that region as well. So that'd be a big area if we get back up to it. Question is, do we? Otherwise, like I said, the main thing at the moment is that very clear downtrend on ETH, nice and clean, right? High, low, lower high, lower low. Potentially, we've already made the higher low or lower high here. Maybe we come up otherwise into this region, and then at that point we start inspecting if we're going to head down to that $1,250, $1,200 area.
Dude, what a wild trade if that comes to fruition, right? That trade from those lows of ETH all the way back up to 1,800. That is a massive swing trade right there. I mean, I would love to take that for a ride. I mean, I hope we see it, bro. I hope we see it. You can clip this and send it. Evan, what are you seeing for Ethereum right now as we're heading to these lower levels?
So,
are you also looking for a long, or you're looking to short this baby all the way to 1K?
I'd rather, if I was to go long, I'd rather go long on Bitcoin right now. And I agree with CVO, but I think that if we do see a jump up, I think ETH will lag a bit. I don't know if we could. I mean, I'm not really in the ballpark that we could get up to 1900 if ETH gets up to 28, 29. I think it'll lag a little bit. And the reason why is because when I look at the chart, the ETH versus Bitcoin chart, and when I look at what happened today, we had some double blood diamonds on the 3-day. this is like asking for trouble. I mean, this is just asking. I mean, the odds are high that we could repeat something like this, come right back down to potentially, this is ETH versus Bitcoin. So bleed another, and this could happen on the way up or the way down, bleed another 11%, against Bitcoin down to around the June, July of 2022 lows potentially for Ethereum here. In terms of the short term, what we're looking at right now, we're making somewhat of a lower low, from this area. That was a good point CVZ was looking at on the Bybit chart. I haven't spent enough time to really study that too much about that point, but I think ultimately the thing I look at for ETH, because I'm not even, I mean, when I zoom out, we're not really hitting any, serious wicks aside from kind of this one in January of 23, but then you got another one at 1512. Similar to Bitcoin, I'm looking at potentially bullish divs, more things in these lower time frames. Also, we all know that when Bitcoin gets a jump up, ETH was going to kind of follow. If Bitcoin gets a jump up from here, somewhere around that area, ETH would probably follow, and I think it'll lag behind. Now, how low would ETH go if Bitcoin drops another, let's see something here, another 0.5 percentage point, probably a little bit more. Now, where's ETH right now? We're at 1542, probably 1% or something, so 1520 could be significant. Yeah, I mean, ETH is risky business. I don't think I'd be more afraid to go long on ETH. I mean, you got that wick right there.
So where would you short it to?
Where would I short it to? So I've been short on it for a while, and I would try, I forget exactly where I entered, but I got a stop loss set at entry point, which was kind of up here at some area. I think a good stop loss would be above this kind of older volume area low around 1646. Now this would be a longer short position. I mean, 1300 I think is probably very likely. I don't know. Now the question here is, how much of a jump do we get before that? That's a good question, because we could jump all the way back up to maybe 1700 before that. But this is a huge area. And the reason why is in this Wyckoff accumulation phase, A, B, C, and this is a very good Wyckoff accumulation, right here would be that big area. 1300 is your next kind of huge area. And that would make sense for kind of that triple bottom type thing, making higher lows. Also, if we take this is kind of a M pattern, double top pattern, and we're losing that area right now. If we take this area, move it down just a tiny bit more, 1330, I would say 1330 is huge. And then let's look at that spiral line again. Where's that spiral line? Look exactly like clockwork. 1330, huge area. I think what you will inevitably. I think it's very, very. I'd give the odds 85% chance at least that we'll end up at 1300 by the end of the year. I think it's highly.
By the end of the year. Okay, I thought you were going to give a closer time.
Well, within 2 months, most likely by November. I don't want to, the odds get, because everybody's going to get mad. Oh, what happened? We pumped up to 1700, but then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gotta be careful here.
Yeah, for sure. People get very feisty about their levels when they're not instantly met after it comes out.
I will let Crusader and I, we go back and forth. He always kind of messages me when he's got ideas for a trade or charts and this and that. And you did touch on one of the biggest things I always kind of stress a lot is you always have to look at Bitcoin, right? When you're trading anything. And I know we talk about longs and shorts right now, right? Because the market's just so absolutely dead. You can't really capitalize on spot trades that often, I guess, if you don't have $1 million. But my big thing is I don't really introduce too much leverage, if any, into altcoins ever. Ethereum is the one that I will, but there's so many times where I think even Crusader messaged me today because we were looking at that previous week low or gold pocket or something, and ETH was kind of dragging down quicker, and I was like, I wouldn't touch it yet because Bitcoin's still X amount away. So that is something to be said that. There is times when it is a little safer play to, if you're going to be introducing leverage or doing a short-term play. Bitcoin is definitely the best tradable asset in my opinion. I think that is hands down. It's going to be less volatile in this. I know it's a volatile asset, but it's not like Dogecoin volatile or, even ETH today, obviously is just kind of dropping out of nowhere. So that's a good point to be made. But, also on the other side of that, if you're looking at spot trades and things like that, obviously a 1% area sometimes won't make or break the deal. But I agree, man. I think that, we'll see a little push up regardless of what it is. Maybe we don't, but the 1250, 1200, 1300, I think we'll get there in the next couple of months as well. I'm just looking for a little bit of a push up first.
Yeah, dude, I completely agree with that, right? The one thing I've learned when trading when just trading in general, which I've been trying to do for the last couple of weeks, is paying attention to Bitcoin is extremely important. Whatever Bitcoin is doing, the altcoins are going to do in, hyper effect of that. So like for today, before I jumped into my short that I posted on Twitter, was I was looking at Bitcoin. I saw that Bitcoin already had lost the 25, was going to lose 25,200. And I was like, if we lose this level, I'm going to short ETH, right? I'm going to short ETH when Bitcoin has this breakdown because I know it's going to drag Ethereum down. And I'm not going to, and I didn't take my profits based on what I saw on the ETH chart. I took my profits based on what I saw on Bitcoin's chart. I saw Bitcoin kind of losing momentum to the downside and starting to like pick up a bit momentum to the upside. And I was like, all right, it's time for me to get out of this trade. So it is extremely important. It's one of the things that I really never thought it was that important before. I was like, oh, you just look for an altcoin and you figure out what's on the chart for the altcoin and you trade that altcoin based on that. And you give a little bit of attention to Bitcoin here and there, but it's not that big of a deal. I feel like it's 50 to 60% of your trade is going to be based on what Bitcoin is doing, and the rest is what's on these altcoin charts.
100%. Yeah. I mean, especially if you're going long, because Bitcoin dominance is bullish. Everything's bleeding against Bitcoin. If you look at like a lot of Bitcoin pairs, like for example, Cardano versus Bitcoin, AVAX versus Bitcoin, ETH versus Bitcoin, like I showed you, they're all bleeding against Bitcoin. So if you're going to be going along, most likely you have a better chance of winning along with Bitcoin, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. I would not be longing anything in this market, right? Unless Bitcoin is having a good pump, for sure. I mean, things are just so bearish. Like I've said it I'm on like a broken record.
Oh,
Things
yeah.
are extremely, extremely bearish. I don't see anything bullish.
How do you feel about the market, Crusader?
Extremely bearish.
Yeah, and I mean, contrary to popular belief, I mean, the masses, I know everybody's pretty bearish right now. And I mean, that's not like there are times where the masses get it wrong, but there are a lot of times where the masses get it right. Like, look at the end of 2020. There were almost everyone was pretty bullish end of 2020, early 2021. They got it right there. Almost everybody was pretty bearish in April of 2022. They got it right there. Masses don't always get it right, but they get it right sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I want to throw out this question. It's a wild one, just pure speculation. What would you guys, besides obviously the price target levels or whatever, do you guys have any gut feeling that there could be a massive drop to the downside, creating a new low? Is that ever in your mind? Is it anywhere like, maybe there's a good, 30-40% chance we do that? Like, is there anything in your mind at all that's kind of telling you, hey, man, watch out for this one last swing to the low side? Because I know a lot of people have been focusing on that lately. I tend to believe that 15 was the low. I don't think we're going to break lower than that. But is there something that you guys are seeing as technical analysts that say, hey, man, this is not off the cards, like off the table. This is definitely in play if X, Y, or Z happens? What are you guys' thoughts on that?
So for me, I mean, one thing I've learned, man, is anything is possible. So, to say never
We're in a simulation. Anything's possible.
Yeah. However, as far as like a gut feeling, no, I think the bottom is in. Can we push down to like in the bottom being, 15, whatever it was, right? 15.5, on November 7th of 2022. Big factor of that is timing as well. But, can we go back to 17, 18, 19? Like that's a big plunge. And, just like similar to the COVID dump, we didn't go and make a new low, but you came very close, to the previous one. I'm in the camp personally. I'm with Evan on the I'm in the 19 to 21 would probably be that higher low situation, and I'm kind of timing around like next month into November as well. So it's just that's kind of on a gut feeling. That's what I'm going with. Anything is possible, of course, but I don't think we'll make a newer low past 15,000.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah. What about you, Evan? Do you think a new low is possible?
Anything's possible. Obviously, I give the odds very low for it because I'm a big like kind of 4-year cycle believer. In every 4-year cycle, I mean, if you look at 2015 on some exchanges, this was way back when market cap was so much lower. 2015, August to 2015, some exchanges did go lower than the January of 2015 low. Not all of them. It didn't go lower on Coinbase. It was some of them. If we do go lower than 15, I could see it just being a wick down, you know, and we're just in a shit like a pandemic, like what happened during the pandemic, just a wick down and then shoot back up. If anything, what I think is a little bit more likely in terms of making a lower low, we already saw a ton of altcoins make a lower low, so that's, you know, they're probably going to continue to make lower lows. That's kind of a given at this point, I think. Ethereum, I think, can potentially make a lower low. Has more like, because if you look at what happened in obviously November of 22, Bitcoin made a lower low, but Ethereum did not. Now we could see somewhat of the opposite of that happen towards this year or early next year. I think if anything is going to make a lower low out of a blue chip, I think it can be Ethereum. And when I look at my Bitcoin versus Ethereum chart here, or Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart right here, you know, if we do break down from this area, there's a possibility. I mean, you would have a technical target down here at 0.03 or 0.04. That's a 40% drop against Bitcoin. So it's not impossible for Ethereum to get hit hard against Bitcoin. If you also look at these EMAs, it's bright. Most of them are gray. Look at what happened there. I mean, that was already towards this area. So you may have that kind of last leg down, you know, against Bitcoin. And if this drops, you know, I don't think it's going to drop this low, but if it does drop substantially, you know, you could see Ethereum going down to like 800 or something, and Bitcoin just going down to 18K or something like that, or even 20K. I mean, so there is that possibility.
That's wild. An $800 Ethereum is a wild price to look at, when, especially for people that dollar cost average, being able to purchase some ETH under $1,000. That's crazy to me. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know if it's gonna happen. I think 13, like, if you
I'm not saying crazy like impossible. I'm just saying crazy like
Yeah.
awesome. Like, how awesome would it be to be
Sure.
able to accumulate some ETH under $1,000 again?
Right.
Yeah. So, man,
Yeah.
I appreciate all of you guys coming on. That was a great, amazing TA, right? Especially for a day like this where there's actually some price action happening. I mean, even right now, we're all looking off screen. Bitcoin's kind of trying to make a move to the downside
Ooh.
here, right? Is ETH gonna plunge? Like, we're all, you know, it's an exciting day. Unfortunately, it had to come on a day like 9/11. I don't know. The Matrix is trying to draw some parallels there. Bitcoin dropping, the towers dropped. I don't know. You know, it is what it is. Guys, I appreciate you guys coming on the show every single Monday and every single Thursday to bring amazing TA action. So if you guys are not, smash the likes or follow these creators on their own channels just yet, jump down to the description, go follow them, and, you know, show them some love, guys. They come on here, give you amazing work every single week. So like I said, appreciate it. Guys, like always, question everything, trust nothing, and until next time, hodl like it's hot. See you guys.